up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some RPG horror stories. But before we do that, I actually received an email from the writer of the story about Iris the DM. We've already done a few videos on Iris, so if you want to check them out, links down in the description below for extra context, but let's go ahead and get to the email. Hey there Morrow, I'm the person who wrote the Iris post, and I just wanted to let you know my party loved your videos. Stacked Up Shorties is now part of our table talk. Just wanted to say thanks for the laughs. Please find included a link to the newest post, we messed up writing everything out, a picture of said Stacked Up Shorty, and an invitation to ask if you want any context for anything, and included some pretty cute pictures of their OC. I sent him an email to see if it's a moth person or something because I see the antennas and stuff. Really cute pictures of cute OC, especially that last one, which is being held by like a dummy mommy. Oh, the writer also included a link to more Iris posts, and as much as I hate the fact that players have stuck around so long dealing with Iris, any more posts that we can read together and learn from what not to do from Iris's actions, the better. Anyway, let's get to the part 1 out of 3, yes, 3 parts of post about Iris. The Ballad of Iris, Betrayal Mountain, Part 1. Hello and welcome back to yet another installment of the tragic story of my party's interaction with our former DM, who we will call Iris. We're still working our way through some of the larger problems, but for now it's time to talk about some of the ins and outs of game betrayals and small ridiculous things Iris did. Some of these are in-game kind and NPCs suddenly turning evil out of nowhere, plot twists that make less than 0 cents, the classic stab in the back, but most of these are betrayals aimed at the wonderful group I play with. Betrayals of our trust. I refer to all the players as the class that were playing in the first game I joined the group in, regardless of actual class at any given time. This was originally going to be 2 posts, but we already have 8 pages typed out and we aren't done, so buckle up. As always, thanks for reading. We know we're dumb for tolerating this, and I hope you enjoy our suffering. This story happened shortly before I joined the group, so I'm relying on the testimony of 3 of the players who were there. In a high-level prequel campaign to the traditional fantasy one I was brought into the group for, everyone played demigods. The demigod party had been working for a council of people who planned to betray them. Aside, Iris loves evil councils, and one of the council members who was traveling with the party, actually her simulacrum, confessed to the planned betrayal, ripped some of Psychic's hair out, and teleported away in a cutscene. Psychic, at the time playing a rogue who was sent by her mother, the goddess of death, ooh, the edge, to take out people who had eluded their natural end, track down their council with the party. Iris proceeded to egg Psychic on to stab the council member. Considering Psychic was playing an assassin rogue with the ability to cut characters' max HP when they hit, it should have been devastating. Iris encouraged Psychic to sneak away from the party to do said stabbing, and eventually convinced Psychic to do so in a mini-session. Psychic snuck in undetected, did the sneaky stabby, and your dagger glances off their skin. For whatever reason, Iris made all the councilmen invincible. They had apparently just taken their invulnerability potions, had aid cast on them, etc, etc. This was extra dumb because they were all actually simulacrums, so their deaths literally wouldn't have mattered. Alright, so I guess Iris is trying to pull a gotcha moment. They were anticipating all along your whole move, and they were 10 steps ahead of you, and you were so predictable. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of stupid. If you're egging on a player in a specific action, they should probably be for story reasons, right? I don't want to railroad my players, but if, let's say, for example, I want them to have a specific encounter or find a specific object, I'll, egg him on a little bit. Be like, player number 3, right before you leave the room, you caught from a glimpse of your eye something shiny on the table, if I want them to find a specific thing. If the player doesn't want to take it or find it or do anything with it, I'll figure out another way to get them involved. But this way is just, it's trying to get a player to do a specific thing they may not want to do, and then right as they do the thing, it's like, oh no, that thing that I egged you on to do didn't work. They were invincible, buffed up, and they weren't even real. The only person it's fun for is Iris, because Iris gets to do a gotcha, but the rest of the play, the Psychic probably thinks, wow, I was egged on to do this thing that didn't even matter. What was the point of that? Psychic, panicking, turns around and tries to bolt out the room, only to find that there is now an invisible one-way barrier blocking them from leaving the room. Psychic tries to use the message cantrip to contact the party who is within visible range, but Iris, who I mentioned in the previous post, has no sense of distance, ruled the party was just barely too far away from the cantrip to work. Iris implied that there was no way for Psychic to leave the room, so they had to fight the Council's invincible simulacrums and various archers by themselves, and inevitably died. Iris then publicly mocked Psychic for not misstepping with the DC roll through the impenetrable barrier. Iris forced all demigods to take levels in Divine Soul. Why would Psychic think any other magical thing would get through the barrier? Oh, do you want him just to just brute force it and just try something specifically until anything worked? It's another gotcha. It's literally just another gotcha. I feel like the story is going to be just gotcha, the story of Iris. After this sudden inevitable character death and subsequent disintegration, Iris came to Psychic and told them that their hair-ripping countermember from before had created a clone of her and that she would now be playing this evil clone. See Infinite Unsexy post. I have. Controlled by the Council. Psychic was to lead the party into a trap and betray them in the same room where their original character died. Their order was to stab the first party member they could when the fight broke out. Psychic did the stabbing, and just as she was getting excited to get to play this role of betrayer, Iris informed them they morphed into a generic monster that fought the party. QTPK against immortal enemies and monsters, and you would think the game ends there. It did not. What followed this was a deal with the Goddess of Evil, several boss fights, a whole bunch more simulacrums, a second deal with the Goddess of Evil, look forward to that in a future post, some depressing roleplay, and a boss fight with the God of Destruction while the zombie apocalypse happened in the background. Q1 disintegration and resurrection of Rogue later, Psychic is told she has to obey her deal with the Goddess of Evil and run off to go do stabbery. Bard, Ecclesium with the class at the time, has sworn in-game to protect Psychic's character and goes to follow her to the end of the earth. Iris didn't like this, as it would interfere with their future plans, so at the start of the epilogue, Iris rules Bard's turns to dust because Iris said so. Dude, I feel bad for the Bard. Imagine you coming to this session, you're like, oh man, I'm excited to get to the next session. I want to see what's going on. I want to be there with Psychic and go on this epic adventure. And suddenly the DM goes, Bard, you disintegrate into dust. Away with you. Why, Iris? Why did I disintegrate for no reason? Because I said so. Wow, that's that'll make anybody want to just quit out, because like, wow, okay, my character is just dead for the sake of just being dead because the DM just said so without any reasonable explanation. Yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy that one. Rogue's character swears to hunt Psychic down and not rest until she succeeds. Iris instantly cuts to decades later, tosses a romantic interest at Rogue, and declares that by the start of the next campaign, she would drop from level 20 to 12, even though Rogue's player said that she would keep training and hunting Psychic forever until she was put out her misery. In contrast, we have Psychic's update boss fight character sheet. Before we get to the character sheet, how do you de-level? How in the world do you just magically de-level from 20 to 12? What, you just suddenly get random muscle atrophy, random amnesia, and you just suddenly forget everything you know, including your muscle memory? What? Brace yourself before reading onward. Okay, I'm ready. Psychic's former character turned Goddess of Evil minion would be tortured for centuries and then get a passive stealth of 40, an automatic hit that deals a guaranteed 170 damage with no save against anything she hit while stealthed. Oh, and anything she killed was permanently unrevivable as long as she was not erased from existence. On top of this, the former edgy assassin literally could not die as long as the Goddess of Evil existed. Shadow of Edgehog has nothing on Cass. This is the Cliff Notes version of this story. As I wasn't there, I don't have credible saint-like patience required to explain the rest of the chaos. Game host, I'm gonna take a DM's nonsensical bullshit for 20. Iris told the players that they didn't have to keep track of travel items on their character sheets, such as tents, bedrolls, rations, etc. Iris constantly checked out character sheets and would sometimes punish players for not having these items. You don't have a tent on your sheet, so you have to sleep outside. Because you're sleeping on the ground, your clothes are becoming damaged over time. Because clothes were ripped because of this, NPCs would instantly know these characters weren't local, and they would stand out. Iris insisted we carefully track the inventory space of every item. A character who brought a tent and bedroll might not be able to carry anything else if the strength was a 6 or so. Notably, my cleric was only able to bring a single dagger, a ring, a notebook, her clothes, and a flask. She originally had 2 daggers, but wasn't strong enough to carry both. See, if it was any other DM that said, hey, keep track of your stuff, make sure you have a tent, if you sleep on the ground, your clothes get ruined, and you don't seem to blend in well because your clothes are a little bit damaged and tattered, that's fine. A little bit of extra detail for like a survival mechanic should be fine. But if it's Iris, I don't trust Iris be able to pull it correctly, properly, because Iris so far showed that they don't care for player agency, don't care to make it fair for players, and don't care to make it interesting. Also, they're willing to completely overrule anything characters want to do, just because. Ranger asked for a bag of holding in-game. After being with the group for a while, already, as the new character was a potion maker, and carried tons of bottles and such, in-game where Iris told everyone they could have one magical item to start. Iris told Ranger they absolutely could not have a bag of holding. One session later, a new player was added to the group without Iris asking or informing anyone. Iris gave the new player a bag of holding, which Ranger found out in-game when the new player offered to store all the party's junk in their new bag. I'm gonna take a guess that it's probably somebody Iris knows, so they're like, oh yeah, of course you can join the game. Here, I'll even give you a bag of holding. We've seen DM favoritism, and I'm sensing it's some sort of DM favoritism to get somebody into the group to join in. I have a background that involved writing and altering legal contracts. I no longer perform these duties, but I remember a lot of it. Iris, upon finding this out, requested that I help them create a legally binding magical contract with airtight terms. This was their way of introducing a magical auction to the game, and I spent several hours writing a contract with them that covered all the bases and sounded sufficiently spooky enough. It wasn't a huge amount of effort, but I still felt a bit miffed that Iris decided not to overuse the contract again a few sessions later, when I point out logically and grammatically loopholes the party could potentially use to get out of the contract if they were found the right patron to help them. As Iris had already put the contract in one of the campaigns that were running, instead of retconning it away, they drastically increased the price of all items in the auction to screw over the players who signed the contract, making an even simple item cost more than our characters were allowed to carry, and more than they even found in-game combined, all while the player characters had to permanently continue playing their auction subscription. I don't know where else to add this, so I'm going to go ahead and say that Iris also insisted in the gold coins weighted £5 each in-game until we revolted against that. £5 per one gold coin? The only person that'd be able to carry any sort of gold is somebody who's big and buff and scruff and tough, or somebody that can, I don't know, I guess cast levitate on their gold pouch. But then you have a gold pouch that's levitating next to you that anybody can steal. But why would they want to steal? Nobody wants to steal gold at that point. It might be even more lucrative just to, like, I don't know, steal pigs and chickens, because they're gonna be way lighter than gold. The second campaign I joined after Iris recruited me was an ongoing one set in a dark fairy tale inspired setting, reminiscent of Curse of Strahd, in that nobody could leave the area as long as the BBG, Nelby, was alive. Undead? I don't know. The party members talked with Iris about their characters and subclass prior to the start of the campaign. Iris did nothing to discourage or warn them from taking necrotic damage options as the main focus, even encouraging one party member to play a necrotic-focused Dampier Warlock. Only in the second session of the campaign did Iris reveal that essentially every enemy in the entire campaign was immune or resistant to necrotic, as Nelby, her council, her soldiers, and just about everything else was undead. Iris did not allow takesy-backsies after revealing this. That's the worst. You're encouraging players to take the least optimal choices, those choices that literally won't make sense for them to take. Don't just give them no disclaimers at all. Obviously, players are gonna pick something cool and stuff, especially if you give them like a Dampier Warlock, that'd be a really neat idea. Iris is being malicious in this situation and setting up the party for failure, because now every fight is gonna become a slogfest, because every enemy is either resistant or immune to necrotic damage, so that what are they gonna do? Just, I guess what you can do is just grab like a club and just keep bashing at the enemy until they finally hit. Iris did eventually allow Barbarian, at the time a Phantom Rogue, to swap to a Blood Hunter subclass that was Warlock-ish after taking my character's grandma as a patron. There's a lot of context I need to add here, so please bear with me. By the time I joined the campaign, the party had defeated another party at the same level and allied with them in-game to take down the council. They had agreed to set out to find an associate of Bard's character to help them track down the undead destroyer.exe, a MacGuffin weapon that was the only thing that could permanently kill undead in this setting, supposedly. When I was invited to the game, I decided to take a reverse Red Riding Hood. Scarlet was raised by wolves who attacked an old lady at her cabin, only for the old lady to pull out a woodman's axe and turn Scarlet into an orphan for the second time before adopting her. Grandma as a character could not have possibly existed before that session. The party had never heard of her because she did not exist. That's a really cool concept. I like that. That's cool. Scarlet wakes up to find Grandma gone, goes searching, and runs into the party, who immediately latches onto this extremely dangerous axe-wielding child of destruction. Scarlet joins the party. They go search for Bard's associate. It's Grandma. Grandma and her second secret family 600 miles away. Okay. Grandma forced the party to sign a magical contract saying that won't ever try to hurt her in exchange for her helping Barbarian with his backstory illness that wiped out his family. She then forced us to fight a supremely powerful angel that we only beat because Iris misread the character sheet and signed the contract. As Grandma goes to pull Barbarian into a cocoon and change his class, she reveals that she caused his illness, the one that wiped out his family. Oh, she then revealed she's killed Ranger's entire village too, claiming Ranger's backstory as well. Oh, and then Grandma revealed that Psychic's ex who killed everyone in her village, yes, this party was edgy, this was Grandma too. Grandma puppeteered everyone except Rogue's backstory to get them here in Zombieland to kill Nelby. Turns out that was a lie. But I'll save that for the final Iris story. Party can't Grandma anymore, so we screw off, go to visit Bard's family after getting the MacGuffin, and Iris has completely changed his backstory too. Instead of the loving family Bard had written for himself, he now has an abusive alcoholic mother, a careless father, a bunch of dead asshole siblings, because they got turned into zombies off screen. Yay! Iris said nothing short of a wish spell could undo this. And let me guess, Iris probably didn't even ask the players, hey, is it cool if we change the story a little bit? I want to use it for a thing. Or like try to give them some sort of a heads up of like, hey, I'm going to alter things a little bit. No, probably Iris was like, you know what? I like your story, Bard and everybody else, but I'm going to rewrite them because I want to, because I'm the only one that can think of the best stuff ever, because I am the bestest DM ever. I don't know if Iris is like an egomaniac or whatever, but I feel like they feel their input to stories and player character stories is way more important than the player's input for their character stories. Bard doesn't have a loving family no more because Iris said so, and all the siblings dead because Iris said so, and they're undead now because Iris said so, and the only way to undo all of that is through a wish spell because Iris said so. As the final betrayal, I'll bring up from that campaign. You know how I mentioned the party allied with an equally strong group of adventurers early on? We had to get a rogue's mother's heart to cure them of a curse. You would think two parties working together would make the fight against Vampire Mommy easier as a reward. Hold on, Vampire Mommy? Wait, that doesn't matter right now. Let's get back to the story. Iris ruled the original version of the Vampire Mommy wasn't a good fight anymore and made a custom CR40 monster that could fully heal automatically 3 times. Gaining new attacks each time, could cast Power Word Kill, would summon a bunch of mobs automatically, and could take a free second turn as a mythic action each round as our prize. They also automatically used a reaction to attack any healing characters mid-fight. On top of what I just described, they had about 15 other abilities and made a minimum of 5 attacks a turn, all on top of the fight having a time limit before the guard showed up to help her. Yay, we won. But I'm not proud of how much BS we had to go to climax that victory. Rogue's edit. At the start of this campaign, Rogue gave themselves a single friend in her backstory. Their butler, who was unendingly loyal to her, as well as being her father figure. This was a feature of her noble background. Iris killed the butler off in an off-screen cutscene in a second session. Yet another CR40 monster? Kudos on winning, but like what the hell? 5 actions and a free action and an automatic reaction and automatically summoning minions and massive healing 3 times in the fight, I'm assuming, and an extra turn as a legendary reaction. Iris, I'll give you one thing. You're creative. Probably too creative and too malicious for your party to be able to have a sane fight. I get having like a difficult fight against the BBG with like layer actions and legendary actions and extra things that the boss specifically can do. Sure. But a 40 CR monster with all of that, you know what? It is absurd because it is Iris. I mean, like, I can get mad, but like, it is Iris. It should be expected. Let's get on to the part 2 about Iris and their betrayals. I hope no more betrayals, but we'll see. Hey guys, Editing Morrow here towards the end of the video. Is it okay if I split them up into their own parts? I'm very much invested into the story with Iris, and the RD3 parts of this whole thing is just very, very long. Full of horror, but very long. And while I do know the more popular YouTube channels out there that do RPG horror stories like to keep the videos long, they also don't upload as frequently as I do, and I kind of like to stick to a daily schedule. And I just don't want to set an impossible precedent on myself of like hour-long videos every day. I just would not be able to do. So if it's alright with you, I'd like to take on part 2 of Iris's betrayals in the next video. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.